Should you intercalate or not? This is a really good question to ask yourself if you're a medical student or if you're thinking of applying into medicine. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what intercalation is, what I did during my intercalation year, and finally some of the advantages and disadvantages of intercalation. So stay tuned. What is intercalation? Intercalation is essentially taking a year out of medical school where you're already a medical student and doing a different degree. So it could be a degree related to medicine or it could be completely non-scientific. Intercalation or doing an intercalated degree is a chance for you guys to either do a different degree related to medicine or do something completely different. For example, it could be English literature or economics, whatever it might be. The choice is open, and I decided to do it in urgent and emergency care. So that's in an emergency department, and I did a BSc, a Bachelor's of Science in it. So you have to be a medical student in order to do an intercalated degree. It depends entirely on the medical school that you guys are in. So if you're in a medical school that offers you guys to intercalate between third and fourth year, then you can by all means go ahead and do that. In the university that I'm in, Lancaster University, I had the chance to do it between fourth and fifth year. So I did it in urgent and emergency care, which is a program done by Plymouth University. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I did during my intercalated degree. There were two degrees to choose from. So when I was applying, I was thinking of either doing urgent emergency care or critical care. And critical care was specifically being in an ITU setting, so a high dependency unit or doing intensive medicine essentially. And I wanted to do medicine specifically in emergency department where I'd see more acutely unwell patients coming in through the front door where I can practice taking a history, clerking them straight away without knowing much about their background and formulating a plan and a diagnosis and passing that information on to my senior colleagues. So I decided to do urgent and emergency care. So in the Plymouth degree, you can choose, they'll give you a list of hospitals that you can choose from. So I decided to stay in northwest of England, and in that degree, you have the chance to do your rotation for 9 months. So usually in medicine, you get put in small timely rotations and you keep moving around and having to get used to different colleagues and things. But this degree helped me to really be a valuable member of the team in the department that I was in for nearly one academic year. So for 9 months, I was in an emergency department in the northwest of England, despite the fact that the degree is actually provided by Plymouth University. And in terms of face-to-face teaching, we had to go once every term, essentially, start of every term, to go have face-to-face teaching where we had simulations, we had workshops, we had a lot of teaching and group activities where we can really practice and improve upon our knowledge and skills. So I thought that was brilliant to get to know my other colleagues that did the intercalated degree. But more often than not, you're either by yourself or with another member who's doing the intercalated program in the emergency department. So you have a chance to really be professional, get to know your department really well, and understand the dynamics between how your emergency department works with other resources within the hospital and within the trust as well. So for me, I really enjoyed doing the intercalated program. I learned so much in that 1 year than I did in my 4 years before. And bearing in mind, at Lancaster University, we do our finals end of fourth year. So whilst I learned a lot of my clinical knowledge, I really wanted to put that into practice and apply that in real life setting. So that's why I decided to do the intercalated program. If I had the chance to go back in time and do that again, I 100% would. It was amazing, and the program itself gave you a chance to really get hands-on and practice what you learned than having to just do a lot of theory work and reading and having to complete like your portfolio and things. So I really enjoyed doing the intercalated program. So in the BSc program that I did, there was 3 pieces of written work that I had to do as well. I know that the program was mostly clinically based, where I'm practicing a lot of my skills of clerking patients, taking a history, formulating a management plan, and doing all sorts of procedural skills on placement. There were some written works that I had to do. So for the written work, there were 3 pieces of work that I had to do. So The first one was a quality improvement project. This project could be to do with anything, but essentially it was picking a small area within your department that needs improving, which can lead to increased patient outcome or reducing the cost in the department or it being environmentally friendly, whatever it might be. So you choose a specific area, you speak to your supervisor, and then you form an improvement project. It's not a project that you do, it's a proposal. So if I were to go on to improve a specific area within my department, this is how I would go about and do it. So that's the first kind of written work that I had to do. Then afterwards, you get some modules that you can pick, so it's entirely up to you what module you want to pick. So I picked specifically how to become or how to improve your expertise in emergency medicine. So I looked at specifically tackling mental health in the emergency department, where unfortunately a lot of patients come in to the emergency department as their first port of call when they're really unwell mentally. So I was looking at how to kind of alleviate that and kind of make sure that they get the right treatment as quickly as possible. So I was looking at that. That's the kind of extra module that I did. And then the other one, which I found to be the most exciting really, is picking 5 different skills and showcasing throughout the year how you've improved upon those skills. So for example, one of them that I chose was teaching. So at the start, I've done a bit of teaching here and there at my medical school, Lancaster University, but I just wanted to improve my skill of teaching. I want to understand different types of audiences, because we have teaching on wards, we have small group teachings, and sometimes you're speaking to a huge lecture hall full of 200 odd students. So I wanted to get more confident teaching to all sorts of groups of audiences, understanding them and ensuring that I know the knowledge well enough for me to articulate and put together a nice piece of teaching material in order to pass it on to the listeners. So I had a really good time learning how to become a better teacher throughout the year. So that was one of the 5 competencies that I did. So you have to showcase that, and within that you have to pick a really interesting case that you can talk about, looking at what the evidence is showing, etc, etc. Now, personally for me, I don't really like doing written work, but these written works aren't that arduous. They're not huge pieces of work. There's like 2,500 words, 3,000 words. It was around there, so it wasn't too difficult. I just wanted to mention that the program that I did was mostly just clinically based, so you're practicing what you've learned before during your medical school curriculum, and just becoming more, I guess, professional in a real life setting. So that was the degree that I did as a Plymouth intercalating student. And by all means, if you guys have any questions, you can look in the description below, find my contact details, and just message me, and I'll be more than happy to help. So moving on to advantages and disadvantages of intercalation in general. So some of the advantages are you become more skilled, more knowledgeable in whichever degree that you choose to go into. Some people have really keen interests in specializing after medical school, so after they graduate, so they decide to get as many degrees as they can so that their portfolio, their CV can look as robust as possible. So some people go on to do it purely from an academic basis. It really gives you a time to just step away from medicine a little bit and do other extracurricular activities. So I had the chance to pursue extra interests during that year, whilst most of it was clinically based in the emergency department. You get a bit more free time than if you are just doing your medical school curriculum. So I had the chance to travel a little bit, do more extracurricular activities. So I really enjoyed that time just exploring other areas apart from just medicine. And moving on to disadvantages, before intercalated degrees counted towards your foundation school application, but now that point system is taken out now, so that doesn't count towards whichever foundation school that you're going to apply to. Another huge thing that impacts a lot of people is the fact that it's 1 extra year. Medicine itself is 5-6 years long, and for some people they just want to get it over and complete so they can just start working, earning a bit of money. So 1 extra year does unfortunately put some people off. Another reason why people get put off from doing an intercalated year is that it's a huge financial burden. Some people have to move to a different city, find rental accommodation, get used to a different culture, and sometimes they're leaving their friend group circle that they've created for the last 3-4 years to do another degree, and then they come back to a completely new year cohort, which can be difficult for some people because they've made lifelong friends during that time. So yeah, I guess intercalation, doing it, is entirely up to you guys. It's entirely up to the person thinking, okay, either I go on and pursue a different degree, try and learn a bit more than just your usual medical school curriculum, gives me a chance to pursue other extracurricular activities as well. But for others, they just want to get through medical school because it's just long as it is. So it's really up to you guys, and by all means, drop me a message if you have any questions to do with it. There's loads of information online about other people talking about their experience doing whichever intercalated degree that they did. And of course, just be brave, do what you think is right. Some people might think that intercalation is the best thing ever and they're going to go and do it and pursue it, but other people might just be so put off by it that, you know, they just don't want to talk about it. So at the end of the day, listen to everyone, listen to the different opinions, but the most important decision is going to come from you. So if you want to intercalate, by all means go for it. If you're going to ask me, I would 100% recommend doing the degree that I did, which is the BSc in Urgent and Emergency Care at Plymouth University. But at the end, it's your decision. So all the best of luck. If you got any messages, drop me a message. If you enjoyed this video and you got value, drop a like as well. I really appreciate that. Look after yourselves and take care.